We are so excited to welcome our friend Molly Sensenbrenner to the Runners of Louisville segment. For those of you that don't know Molly, she is an avid half marathoner and marathoner in Louisville. She boasts a PR of 2:53 in the marathon, which is amazing. But not only is she a runner, she's also a mother of 4 kids. She is the head coach for cross country and track at Goshen Elementary School, where, by the way, they've won 10 state championships in a row, and they have over 100 kids participating on this team. But Molly, I've been so personally inspired by you, and I think that after people watch this interview, they're going to totally agree if they don't already know you. But let's take it back to the start and tell us how you got started in running.
So I started running super young by fluke, and most kids that start running super young get burnt out by high school. You see that a lot. But yeah, so I was in 5th grade, and my older twin sisters were going out for the high school cross country team, and she was babysitting me, my sister Annie, and took me along. And so we went out. Shout out to Kariakis Park in Bowling Green, Greenwood High School, and it's a 1.25 mile loop. And my sister and I went one way, and the rest of the team went another way. And we finished quite a bit ahead of the rest of the team, and I wasn't breathing hard, and the coach is like, you're good. Why don't you just join the high school team? And so, yeah, that kind of just by fluke started me in it. And that coach was against letting such a young kid run for varsity. So that first year I was 3rd on the team, but they said no. Well, Art Shuba comes in my 6th grade year all the way through my senior year and was like, she's fast, let's let her run. So, I was running the state meet, 2nd on her team in 6th grade, and thought I was the coolest kid with my leather jacket walking into basketball practice. Like, people were like, this little kid, whatever. But, so that kind of started me off, and I think also some longevity in my running career was that I was good locally in the Bowling Green area, but I was never like the top dog. So I never had a lot of pressure, so it was just fun. Like, I was very social and wanted to goof off with my friends, but I loved racing. So I never took it super serious. I ran 20 to 25 miles a week, all through my high school career. Didn't really run much on the off season, but I had enough natural talent to where, I was known in my area and was the top 20 or 30 at state. So I feel like it was a really good place to be in growing up because, my parents never pushed me. They were happy with whatever, cheering, even if I wasn't winning.
Yeah.
So I think that just kind of set me up for running not being a pressure thing. It's just I'm super competitive and I love to race. And so, I think it was a good foundation, especially in college where it got more competitive. So.
Yeah. Did you ever cross paths with Michael Eaton then?
So he is younger than me. I think he might have been a little middle schooler when I was there. So Goshen started to have more, not Goshen, gosh, that's where I coach, but Greenwood started to have more success as a team level after me. After I graduated, they ended up winning state, and then it was always me going individually. But he was big stuff after me. He's quite I'm 38. I don't know how young he is, but quite a bit of years after me. So
Greenwood's had a lot of successful runners.
Yes, for sure they have.
So what led you? Because you went to Bellarmine.
Yeah.
And what brought you there? Tell us about that journey from high school to college and how you chose Bellarmine.
Yeah. So Coach John Wellardine recruited me. Actually had a really bad senior year, which was kind of good coming in because then I surprised people my freshman year.
Yeah.
And I look so fondly on my Bellarmine time. I just secretly hope one of my 4 kids, I don't secretly, I say it out loud, I hope one of my 4 kids go there. But I met my husband at the school physicals a couple days into school. He was 2 years older.
Yeah.
Just some of my best friends still in running and outside of running. And it was just the first time where I had a group of girls to support you and really feel that team aspect. And I also had there was girls better than me on teams, but I feel coming in, Jen Alessandro was 2 years older than me, and she was the first girl at Bellarmine to break through to run at nationals. And we had never had a nationals runner. And it's she kind of broke that ceiling for a lot of girls that came after her that have been All-American and nationals. But just to see someone like that, Jen is killing it, and we're all behind her, working towards that. And so I felt that was the first time I really felt man, this team's awesome, and we got a community here. And I just look super fondly back at that. So
We'll have to have Jen in here too.
you
We'll have to
totally
interview-
should.
Yeah.
Jen is so humble. You would not know like how much of a rock star. I mean,
Yeah.
Louisville running 10 years ago, like Jen was like every road race. I'd be like, girl, you got so many gift certificates.
I
'Cause
remember-
she was like the star of running here.
I remember seeing her after
Yeah.
I graduated. She was on like the road racing scene
Yes.
major, and I remember seeing her times everywhere and just being
Yes.
like, "Who is
So
this rock
fast.
star?"
Get
Like,
Jen in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I agree with you with the college thing. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
for some reason, well, all these new people are coming into the same team. Like,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
you don't know each other. You're getting to know each other. And so you
Yeah.
kind of go through that experience together. And so
Yeah.
I think it brings you closer because you're going through the same stuff together.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think it's scary going to like a school in a new town, and it's like this becomes your instant family.
Yes.
So yeah, there's just definitely fond memories of that. Also, shout out to Coach Jim Vargo, who's our track coach there. Also, so those two coaches. I mean, when I came in my freshman year. I went from running like 20 miles a week to 50. And so I was getting in good shape with Coach Wellardine, but then I ended up getting stress reactions. So I was redshirted. But I had that fitness that I took into track season with Vargo. And that's when like I kind of had that breakthrough where I ran a 5K at like upper 18s.
Yeah.
And like everyone's like, whoa, like you're faster than we thought. So
Yeah.
that kind of built up my confidence. I just felt like when I got there, it's finally when I realized like, you know what? I am good and like I can push this and really
Yeah.
work to go to like a next level that I never really hit in high school. And when you have
Yeah.
that good people to feed off and good coaches pushing you, like, that helps you have that breakthrough. So
Well, speaking of that success, you were the Great Lakes Valley Conference outdoor 5K and 10K champion.
yeah.
And the 2004 Bellarmine Athlete of the Year. So,
Yeah.
well, first of all, I know there's
Yeah.
a lot of running nerds out there like me that are going to want to know your
Yeah.
times that you ran.
This is why I need my husband here. You all like, I don't know stats. I only know my marathon and my 5K PR. That's why I wrote it there. But
that's
he
awesome.
has been like, he's like the computer. Like if I would have told, I had Chris here, he'd be like, you ran a, I
Regardless,
legit
you were the champ,
don't know. Yes,
so,
like
yeah.
I'm legit. I'm
Time
like,
doesn't matter, you
and
were
the
the champ.
5K, it would have been a low 8, like an 18.0 something,
Yeah.
But I stuck around 18.0s a ton in college.
Yeah.
But 10K, like, I need to race the 10K more, but sorry, I'm a bad running nerd.
No,
like,
no.
I'm just like,
The important thing is
Yeah.
you were the champ.
I was the champ.
Whatever happened that day, you were the champ.
yeah.
So yeah, tell us more about those races and what that
Yeah.
was like. I know you started to talk about how you started to get your confidence.
Yeah, so like, and then as I get running track, and everyone's like, you're a long distance runner. Like I've been
Yeah.
hearing that like from college on that, you need to run a marathon. So I was always stuck in the 3K, 5K, and 10K. I was usually doubling the 3K, 5K because that's where I excelled.
Yeah.
It's definitely, and I never minded it. Like people like 25 laps around a track to do a 10K. And I'm like, I love consistent long distance running. Like I love that. Like it's uncomfortable, but comfortable enough that like if you have endurance, like you can keep churning out those miles. So I I missed a track. I did run a Bellarmine race, track race a few years ago where I joked it was after my 4th kid and I was still breastfeeding and all the little girls are in their like shorty shorts and I was like, I just need to walk up here with Luke. I was still breastfeeding and be like, hold on, I got to breastfeed her real quick. Let me throw him up and run. But
I would be so impressed. They would be like, she's so fast and she just fed a child.
I
like-
did end up getting 3rd. I wasn't in like the super fast race, but I was like, see girls, I'm not so old. I still got it a little
That
bit.
was amazing.
But I do want to get back on a track and run a bunch of laps on there again.
I don't know why I can't think of the
Yeah.
name of the indoor track that they just built downtown.
Oh yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, but one of the first meets they had it open, like they had open events, and
Yeah.
I think they had a
Yes.
3K may have been their longest event.
Yeah.
And a few of us were considering running
Yes.
it, and I was like, it made me nervous just thinking about running a 3K
Yeah.
on the track, but it'd be so
Yeah.
much fun to hop on a track
Yes.
again, like you
no,
said.
let's do it, Kat.
Yeah, we should.
I-
We should.
Listen, I'll tell you about my running goals, but that's all my goals for next. So
So after college, you got married, you
Yeah.
started a family, and you ran casually in between having
Yeah.
4 children.
Yeah.
And then you decided to make a big running comeback.
Yeah.
I think this is so cool because I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of misconceptions about motherhood and running, and a lot of women feel like once they have kids, they can't get
Yeah.
back into it. However, you've been just
Yeah.
as successful, if not more successful, after 10 years in between having kids.
Yeah.
So tell us about that journey and how you got motivated
Yeah.
to start really training hard
yeah.
again.
So I pretty much started popping out kids like couple years out after college. So I'd always, like, after college, I never was committed to, like, really running. Like, 3 or 4 days a week, I always ran, but it was never that same level as college, just kind of doing it for fun. And I did, like, I feel like in between some kids, I ran some decent times, like some, like, 18-something 5Ks in there, but never, like, totally committed to this level. And I guess once I knew I was having my last kid, like, this is the 4th kid, and really, it goes back to my daughter was in 2nd grade and started running at Goshen. And seeing these kids, well, first off, their first race of the season, I go, and it's at Shelby County, which I used to race, like, as a 5th grader.
Yeah.
I would go there, and then I run into Coach Weller. I'm running into, like, old coaches at these meets.
Yeah.
And then I'm seeing these young kids, like, duking it out. Like, I don't care that they're little kids. They are racing and, like, digging and going after it. And it's like I'm sitting there seeing that and, like, man, they're killing it. And I'm like, I'm an athlete, but no one knows I'm an athlete. Like, I'll be like, I'm a runner. And they're like, oh, yeah, I'm a runner, too. And I'm like, no, I'm really, like, a competitive runner. I like running. And so
You had that spark
yes.
come back, yeah.
And so then I knew I was pregnant with my last kid. And my husband, Chris, has for years run with a group of guys, and they always have lattes afterwards. He has like a fancy espresso machine. And so it started back, I was really pregnant, and his friend Andy Niblett would come every day, and I was like, I'm going to have a running comeback, and we're going to race in a 5K. And it was like, yeah, right, you're just talking smack. But I love to talk smack, especially to guy runners. And so I kept being pregnant. I'm like, okay, I'm due in February. We're going to run the Dash 5K in November. He's like, yeah, I'm sure you are. Like, not thinking I'm serious. And 6 weeks after having my last kid, you can relate to this, I joined the Y because I knew I could run outside and they had childcare. And that was like major for me because then I could take my kids and not have to wait for Chris to get off work. Like, I know that I can run. So I just started, I was like, I'm going to make a goal of running 6 days a week. And I would just run, no workouts, but I would sign up for a 5K like every month. And so my first one was 23 minutes, and like next month was 20. I was taking a minute off a month until we had her duking it out in November at the Dash. And he got me. He ran like 18:30, but I ran like 15 seconds behind him, which was a big deal. That in that year, I was like, you know what? I can definitely break 19, and I think I can like get faster than this. So that kind of started my passion, and then passion into like I want to break some goals and like do this for myself. So at the beginning of the next year, I was like, I want to run a marathon. For my whole life, people are saying you should run marathons. And I'm like, and I'm going to break 3. And everyone looked at me like I was nuts. They're like, yeah, I'm sure you're going to break 3. That's really hard. I'm like, yeah, I know it is. I'm going to do that. And so I did that whole training by myself. I never ran with a person on a long run. And I just, Chris would come out with the van and the kids with like a Gatorade. I'd be like, not stopping. I'm like, you can't stop on a long run. And he would aid it to me. And that was my first one, like back, and it was 2:59:55, 5 seconds under it. So that kind of started, that, and I've done 3 since then. So,
That's amazing. I know. We should call this the Mother Runner segment for this one because I agree with you as far as the why goes. And any new moms out there who are looking for a way to run, the YMCA does offer some amazing childcare so you can get your runs in. But I couldn't have made it the past 6 years without the YMCA. So
this is how we connected. Our first run was from the Y.
Yes, that's so true.
Like a couple years ago, or 1.5 years ago. Yeah.
I think you mentioned I got to take my kids to the Y, and I was like, I got to take my kids to the Y too.
I think that's how we saw on Strava. I saw your course, and I hadn't really met you, but I'm like, are you running from the Y? Because that's what I'm doing.
I love it. Now, your husband's a runner too, right?
Yes.
So how did you all meet? And do you train together? Or?
Yeah, well, so he was a walk-on at Bellarmine who actually got way faster outside of all those years I was having kids. He started excelling, was, doing around 16-minute 5Ks. And so our kids growing up, they would go to road races and they're like, oh yeah, you won. That's normal. They just thought you win every race, and they never thought I ran. And it's so we, for a long time, could not run together, but now we have a teenager that can actually babysit. We have a 13-year-old that babysits our younger one. So actually this last marathon, like if I have any tempos, like, long run, steady states at 6:30, that's like a good pace for him, but not hard for him. So it's perfect because like I kind of steal him away from his running people. I'm like, sorry, can you run with me instead of them? So, I mean, it works out great. And like, as far as husbands go, like has never once questioned like my running. He's like, oh, go run. Like he's excited to see me doing well. Yeah. So like, it's been great for my running because like, he's excited to see me go and
That's amazing to have that support too, because he knows what goes on at home and like with your kids and stuff too, and what your schedule's like, and then he's able to help you outside of that.
Yeah, and I definitely think like he's got to see I'm a happier person, because when you're not running, like it's like Elle Woods, like endorphins make you happy. But like it's true. Like if I've ever been injured for a week, like I just feel so much more down, and like I have so much more energy and happier, like mom and wife to him if I'm running. So
I completely agree with that. So we mentioned that you're currently the head coach at Goshen Elementary.
Yeah.
How did you get into that? And like, tell us about that, because you guys are amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, you are the best.
Yes. So they have been like a powerhouse before we came in. And it's funny because we're like, we didn't plan to move out to Oldham County because like we just happened to land in this really good cross country team, but it was where my husband's childhood home was that we moved into that took us out. We always were going to stay like no more than a mile from Cherokee or Seneca Park. But so that brought us out there, and we go out and we're like, whoa, this is like a whole operation, because I mean, right now, like I have like 10 color group like assistant coaches. We have team managers.
Oh, wow.
Like it's like a whole tradition there. I mean, we have themed practices, like fire truck practice at the North Oldham track. Like we have themed practices, like it is definitely not just like a little team. Like this is a whole culture, and like all the kids do it because it's an experience. And we have all level of kids, and it's just like, it is just so fun to coach and see like confidence growing kids, like just to see that PR. I'm not just saying our top kids, but like we have all levels, and it's just, we try to recognize everyone in different ways at practices, and we'll give pep talks and all that stuff. But
we got to get some other elementary schools to come in there and take note, because I think that's, like a lot of t-ball teams and basketball teams, and like you have that huge community presence, whereas with cross-country teams, usually they're a lot smaller.
Yeah,
so
but
you
they
don't have
are
as much support. But with that, it sounds like
and there are big ones. I mean, like when we win state every year, we have like a boys team or a girls team. Now our 600 boys, we have won like I think every year but 1 year in the past 10 years, and we're going up against a lot of all sixth grade middle school team where they run their whole sixth grade against our third, fourth, and fifth grade boys.
Wow.
But I mean, we have hill day workout, speed workout, and then we'll do like a longer run day, all at Chrissy Mahan, which is a beautiful park in Oldham if you've never run there. But so like, I mean, they are like legit athletes. Like, I mean, some of them go on to do other sports, but like they all are true competitors that are just super fun to watch. And
I need to come out and watch that.
Yes, come on out. Yeah, so this will be my third year doing it, but my husband, he coaches like our fastest boys and runs with them, and like really helps with that. And I usually run with our fastest girls, but
that's so fun.
Yeah,
that's so amazing.
Yeah.
Do you have any fun stories from that? Like any? Can you think of any?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of any fun stories. I mean, like we've just had a lot of great athletes. We just this past year had Austin Sears, who won the individual race, which was super fun to watch this year because it was in 2 waves. So he ran that first wave and came in first. And it was the cutest thing to see this 5th grade boy standing to CP won the state meet. And he was standing at that clock like we're like, oh, we think he has it. And just to see when there's no one coming, like they were definitely 15, 20 seconds off. And the look on his face where he won on the sidelines. That was just a very COVID way to win win a state championship.
For sure. That's exciting, though, that he got to kind of wait. There was more anticipation, more build up. And then,
yes. For sure. He was like, I'm not leaving. It was hours later. Like, Chris and I were going to stick around. He's like, I got to watch this. You can't just see the race result pop up for that later. So
that's amazing.
That was fun.
So you've been training with I'm biased, but the legendary coach Ron Mann.
Yes.
But he is
legendary.
He is.
Yeah.
So what's it been like working with him?
Yeah, so like the first few months I was so nervous because I'm like, I'm not worthy for you to coach me. Like, I'm so much slower than these elite people that you coach. But the thing about him is that he is like the nicest man. He is so encouraging and positive, like that this past year and a half that I've been running with him, it's just made running fun. I feel like even if I'm having a crappier workout, he's like encouraging to it, where I'm like, okay, I guess it wasn't so bad. Coach Mann's okay with it. And I love his training. It just suits me really well. Like, he kind of finds your strengths and builds on that in workouts, which is endurance type workouts for me, and that I can really grind it out for a lot of miles. Gives me a lot of confidence with the marathon. So, and he also tweaks it a lot. Like, he'll give it me 4 or 5 weeks at a time and looks at it. And so I mean, I'm super happy. Like, I lucked out through, shout out to Jacob Law, that gave me the inroad, and he was coaching my husband Chris. So that kind of helped me get in there. But I mean, it's been awesome, and like super grateful to have him coaching me. So,
he's not just an
great
amazing
person.
coach, but an amazing person
for sure
as well.
For sure.
Okay, we're gonna get into some other stuff. Running is a difficult sport. Have you had to face any hurdles or overcome any hurdles throughout your years of running?
For sure. And like, I would think mostly is when I started back, I think so many moms feel guilt about running, and I don't. I got to that point, like, like I really don't feel guilty. Like, I feel that I'm putting an example to my kids that, like, wow, my mom's working her butt off, and look what she did, and I mean, I obviously, like I said, I've been at a volleyball tournament all weekend, but my husband and I divide and conquer, and, I miss some things if we have our own stuff going on, because I know we have a life of our own. But so a lot of times it's just being a mom and, like, the schedule. Like, we've got so many kids and different things right now. And to try to find that, like, dedication to it, where I'm like, you know what, we got a lot of kid stuff going on, but you can always make the time, like, if you want. Like, I know I used to say I'm too busy, and it's like, you know what? No, actually, there's an hour here that I'm, like, lounging, watching something. Or, like, like, there's areas in there to find a way to make it work. So, like, I feel like definitely is just, putting yourself first, and, like, with kids, like, not always putting yourself first, but, like, finding that time to be like, you know what, I'm worth this, and I have my own identity too, and this is a part of my identity now that gives me, like, a lot of, like, good feelings about myself, and like, and it's good for my kids to see it as well. So
I love that perspective, and I think it took me longer to figure that out, because, and especially for new moms, like, you think that it's hard to give yourself that alone time to like remember who you were too, but you need that time for mental health, for physical health, and also, like you said, as an example for your kids. So I love that perspective, and I think, more moms should hear that in the beginning, with their first kid, so that they're not overwhelmed and they feel okay and not guilty with going out and running and spending alone time.
Like,
so I'm so glad you said that.
It's okay to spend money on a babysitter for your, like, running, like, or at the Y, if that's, like, I think it's super important. But I definitely felt that at some point. I'm not going to say I never felt bad about it, but I think you get to the point, especially by the fourth kid, where you're like, you know what, I'm a good mom. I know I am, and I also got other things about me that are good too.
If mama's happy, then babies are going to be happy. But I love that you said that. Okay, where's your favorite place to run in Louisville?
So, like, on a normal basis, I am, like, running by myself in my neighborhood, and there's a lot of good places in Orange County to run, and I'm usually listening to a podcast. But if I have time on the weekends, like, I do love to hit up Seneca Park, because it's very nostalgic for me. Like, I'll run through old Bellarmine routes, or where we lived in our first home in the Highlands. Like, I love if I can get to go through Joe Creasy and, like, have, like, a nostalgic moment about our Bellarmine practices. My new favorite is Pope Lick, too, because I love that it's flat, and I like to do workouts there, too. So if I, on a weekend, have that option, I'll go to one of those two parks.
The Parklands, they're amazing. They're always, like, an easy go-to. Like, you're going to get a lot of miles on it.
For sure.
What is your all-time favorite race?
So like I said, I'm not good with stats, and I'm not good with my memory. But, like, if I had to think about that, I would say my last, my best marathon to date was a year and a half ago at Indy Monumental. That one sticks out just because I stole Chris's running friend, Mike Horan, who was like a motivational speaker the entire way. And I was like, I love this. Like, you are building me up, but it's really bad at mile 18. So that was a great memory. I feel like also, like, as a mom, my favorite memory was the Derby mini marathon, like 2 years ago maybe. And that's when I just ended up getting third. And my daughters were there. And they were there with shout out to my best friend, Carol Baraka, and her kids. And they had a big sign. And I had been running for like a couple years, but like we have like fast ladies in like Southern Indiana. Like I was never winning even these little 5Ks because we have a lot of fast people in our area. And when I crossed the line, they gave me this huge bouquet and then this plate. And you could tell the kids were like, whoa, like she's good. Like they never knew like, oh, my mom's pretty fast. Like,
And they finally like clicked. They were like, oh,
yes.
okay.
They're like,
she wasn't kidding. Like she.
So as a mom, like I think that was really cool. But my favorite race experience would be Indy. So,
Indy's a great one.
Yeah.
This is a big question, but what has running taught you? Because I feel like it's taught everyone and all of us so many things. But.
Gosh, I'm so big on girls in sport just because of all the confidence. Like, I was actually a very shy kid. Like on my report card, kindergarten, first, second grade was Molly's a sweet girl, but she needs to talk more. And then all of a sudden in fifth grade, when I found running, all of a sudden it's Molly needs to stop talking in class. So, I mean, I definitely think that it gave me a lot of confidence. Secondly, what I think it taught me is that pain isn't a bad thing. And I have learned to accept pain. And I think also I had kids naturally without an epidural, 3 of them. And it was just like in a race where I think that kind of like with the marathon, I'm always equating it to childbirth because I remember one childbirth book, they said, a contraction's like a wave. And if you fight that pain, it's horrible. Yeah. But you have to accept that pain and be like, let the pain wash over you and it'll be over. And that is always what I feel like that last 6 miles of a marathon. It is very similar. I will equate that pain to childbirth. And some people might not, but like, it's one of those where you're like, this is misery. Like, why did I sign up for this marathon? But you know what? I'm not giving up, and I'm going to try to run as fast as I can through this pain because I'm not a quitter. So I definitely think, like, as a culture, we can be afraid of pain a lot. And it's like, you know what? Some big things happen when you work through pain and you do not give up. So
I love that.
Yeah.
You're right.
So,
you're so right. That reminds me of, I'm learning a lot from you right now.
Okay,
it's so much
good.
fun.
Good, Kat. I'm glad to hear it.
But it just reminds me of, I just recently read the Brady book by Alexi Pappas. Have you read it?
I haven't read it, but I saw it. Yeah,
there's a whole section on, I think the chapter is called Befriending Pain or something. And she just talks about how you, like in an endurance race, like you know it's going to hurt. At some point it's going to hurt. If not, you're probably not pushing hard enough. But she... there's good pain and bad pain. Bad pain when you're hurt.
Yes.
But good pain when you're pushing through and like trying to achieve a goal.
Yeah.
And I think she said something like instead of focus, it's a lot harder to focus on the pain and continue to think about it than it is to just think about your arm swing or like think about your breathing. Yeah. And it just becomes easier. But it's just hard on you mentally if you just kind of sit in that pain.
Yeah,
and just,
wallow in it. Like, I can't do this. The negativity takes over you. I feel like it's so interesting with the marathon. Like, my first one that I did back was 2:59 to the 2:53. They felt the same because as you get fitter, you push yourself more and you're always pushing yourself to that zone, no matter if you're in 3:15 shape into like a 2:45, it's like, it's whatever. If that is your boundary of like, it always feels the same. That's what I always think about these elite marathoners that are out there. It's like, they're hurting the same way we are. They are pushing through that though, So yeah.
I love that. Don't be afraid of pain.
Yeah. Yes. Feel the pain.
Who is your biggest inspiration? Running or outside of running? Or?
Well, definitely like, I never followed elite runners until this past 4 years of running that I've done. And my husband's like, how do you know this? You have never followed running. But I'm like, I am all in now. I love to follow any of the mom runners. Like I'm a Steph Bruce groupie. And I love Kira D'Amato now. She is just
gonna bring her up.
Rock star.
Yeah.
So I love to look at that. I mean, I love that there are so many awesome ladies like you that are killing it. You're the most positive person. And this girl's got wheels. You are fast.
No.
You are a fast 800 runner girl. She's being modest because she's
just trying to
interviewing
catch
this.
up to you.
No, and you will because you're right on my heels. So you're going to, girl. But there's so many great girls. And I shout out to the Swags group because when I ran with you all a year and a half ago and you invited me, I was like, I don't know any of these girls. And I don't know if they will let me. And you all were super nice. And then COVID hit. But there's so many ladies to run with that are awesome in the area. Obviously, my Goshen kids, which are also my kids that are runners, give me inspiration too. I just see them duking it out. And, just so many of my friends, past teammates that are constantly encouraging me after races, before races, fills up your bucket where you're what? I mean, it's pretty awesome. The community that I feel of friends new and old that reach out and are really supportive of what I'm doing. Just a whole bunch of people are filling me up and motivating me.
I know. I keep telling family members or people I know, I'm like, you need to get involved in the running community because I really do believe in Louisville. It's something special. It's competitive, but also we all are encouraging each other. And you go to a race, and Mike Corfidge alluded to this in his interview, and it's not just seeing somebody that you're competitive with. It's seeing the community come together and we talk to each other and we're encouraging one another, and it's just so much more fun when everyone's included rather than it just being I'm just out here trying to run for myself,
Well, it's kind of like what I said at Bellarmine, how seeing Jen and other people lifted me up, and it's I love to see you running the mini yesterday, Flannery, and all these people where I'm so fun. I want to see the Louisville women crushing it. And it's just pretty cool to see. I mean, I like to see you guys doing well, but I really like to see the ladies crushing it a little extra.
Especially when people race out of town too, and you see people from Louisville or from Kentucky, and you're
Kentucky representing.
I know. So do you do any supplemental work in addition to running?
So I'm very, very bad about doing strength stuff. That's one thing that right now, coming off a marathon, I'm okay, I'm trying to do that. But this past year, which has been a game changer, last January, after that Indy race, I started going to PT. And so shout out to Laura Nadwell, Kara Nichols, and Callie Latham. Those three, I highly recommend finding a PT that understands competitive runners, because I know some people look at you probably why don't you just stop? If you have this issue, and they understand, no, we can fix it. It's not,
there's a solution here.
Yes. And so that has been game changer. Even I've not had any real major injuries because I get in there. And even when I haven't been hurting, I'll go once a month, and they find all this stuff that's so tight that I didn't realize. So after I've been banged up my hamstring after this, and Karen Nichols has been working with me a couple sessions these past couple weeks, and they are true problem solvers. If they text you afterwards and it's not fixed, they are okay, we're gonna do that. And they really care. So I strongly, I mean, I'm 38. I feel maybe when I was in my 20s it wasn't as much, but when you're putting a lot of miles on your body now, PT has been game changer for me. So
and
I highly recommend
like that in your corner too, that are not willing to give up.
Yes, for sure. And thankfully I've kind of caught stuff before it's gotten major. But no, that's been great for me.
I think a lot of times people forget about recovery and rest and really taking care of your body after the runs or the races and stuff like that. So I think that's really important and really cool that you do that.
And I'm also hardcore with Epsom salt baths.
I need to try. I've never done that. I need to try that.
Am during a marathon, it's a little ridiculous. It's every day I'm my excuse to take an Epsom salt bath.
Do you do ice Epsom salt, or do you just do regular?
Hot? Ridiculously hot. If you would go to my house right now, you would see I wrote on chalk on the back of our house, hot tub, and it's not come off. I tried to spray it up. I'm trying to plant the seed to my husband right now because I'm I waste so much water in Epsom salt baths. If I just had a hot tub there, I could always go. So I'm a very firm believer in that, and a lacrosse ball over a foam roller every day.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yes. What are your goals for the future in running?
So I'm just coming off a really brutal marathon. I don't know. It just wasn't my day. So I'm kind of needing a break. Like, it just kind of was like, I think I need to step back from the marathon for a little bit and switch it up and find something fun. So I am getting ready to start a new training cycle to try to break my college PR in the 5K. So,
oh, that's so exciting.
Yeah, like in the Triple Crown, I ran in 18:08. My PR is 18:01. And that was in the middle of marathon training. So I've not really focused on faster.
Yeah.
So my A goals for before I'm 40 in a year and a half would be to PR in the 5K, to the 10K, to the half, to the marathon.
That is so cool.
So I'm just hoping to work my way up. I'm hoping to maybe, like, this is all knock on wood that I'm healthy. I would love to do a fall half marathon and then Houston Marathon in January.
Fun.
So
I've
that
heard
is my
Houston's a good
tentative plan for like the next 8 or 9 months. So.
I heard Houston's a good one.
Yes, I was supposed to do that. Then COVID hit, so
course.
I didn't get to do it. But yes, I'm going to try to do it again. Yeah.
That's cool. Okay, let's play this or that.
Okay.
This is fun. So this will kind of wrap it up. But long run or workout?
My choice would be the long run workout combination.
Oh.
I don't like to run slow long runs because they last forever, but I love if I get to do steady state or tempo for 10 miles of a long run. So that is my favorite.
Especially if you get into like that zone where you just like start clicking off the mile.
Yes, I like to try to ingrain a pace into my legs, and I feel like that's the best way to do it.
That's awesome.
Combination.
Racing flats or just your basic everyday trainer?
Always racing flats. Whatever makes me feel fast. Yes.
Run the same route with friends for the rest of your life, or run solo, but you can run whatever you want.
Yeah. I kind of already alluded to that, but I do run most of my runs on my own. So, I mean, I love to run with people, but I'm really big on just running on my own to try to teach myself that I can do stuff. So, on my own, any course.
Cool.
Yeah.
Summer running or winter running?
That one is really hard. But I'm going to go with winter running because I always feel like I can crush workouts in winter because I'm not sweating so much. And in summertime, a lot of times I slow down because it's so hot. I'm not an early morning. I usually don't run till like 9 or 10, and it's like blazing hot in July by then.
Yeah.
So, yes, I'm a weird winter runner. I love racing in the cold, too. I do not like running in the super hot.
I know. I have a hard time running in the cold, like just getting out the door.
Yeah.
But it's like you can always add on layers. You can only take off so many clothes in the summertime.
I like sweat within like a mile. But I never wear gloves. People are like, "What is wrong with you?" I'm like, I don't know. I'm just very a hot person, I guess, because I warm up quickly.
And the last one, spandex or split shorts?
I used to always be anti-spandex, but I have come around to that. So that is my race short of choice. Spandex.
Can't go wrong. Can't go wrong with either. Well, Molly, thank you so much for coming out and letting me chat with you. And I'm so excited for everybody to hear your story and your journey. And I think they're going to be totally encouraged by your story and all of the points you just made here today, because I learned so much.
Good.
And I already know you a little bit.
Yes.
So.
Well, that's awesome. I'm so glad.
Yeah.
And I think they need to turn the camera on you next,
No.
because you've got a lot to tell us too, mother.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Molly.
Thank you.